And speaking of recommendations, right? So let's talk about for a bit. Finally, how to blow up a pipeline.
Right,
Yes, I
sure. Yeah.
finally,
Talk, talk
finally check
about
it out.
best of the year so far.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But
Talk
yeah,
about
Ricardo, take it away. What is the show about?
sure. So there's a bunch of disparate people coming together to, well, blow up a
Da da da
pipeline.
da da.
Yeah. But what it does is it gets into that just the share, how something could go belly up very fast. And how things would go wrong, the planning stages of these kind of things, how to organize, given the nature of the people, how they can really organize per se, because there is, this is I call it is a herded cats movie, right? How to herd cats. That's also another way to think about this. How to blow up a fight, right? And how to herd cats.
Mm.
Like how shit could go wrong and how shit could hit the fan so fast with these characters. But yeah, it's Jotil, Joshil, or Jochitil.
I just
She,
always butcher that name, to be honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, she from Long Beach. She she noticing climate change kind of getting bad. Her mother dies because of a heat wave. Which is kind of brutal. It reminded me of a little bit of it had a recent book that came out that talk about a heat wave in India. It's like it reminded me of that. It's like, yeah, heat wave's gonna start fucking people up nowadays, right? Yeah. So it's just the oil refineries frustrating slope after the divestment campaign. All the things just going wrong that making her not shares on campus. If you know what boycott, divestment, and sanctions is about, all of that little things just getting worse and worse. And then the oil company, right, use eminent domain, right, against her. Like, so Alicia comes through. She dies Theo. She have a friend Theo. Um, Theo is sick, right, because of pollution. And yeah, it's just the people at the bottom having to come together to sort out this oil company. I forget, do they say what the oil company's name is? I don't remember. I have to go back.
No, not. Well, I actually saw it yesterday,
Yeah, it's
so
not.
no, they didn't say what the name of it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if they even give it a fictitious name or anything like that. I can't remember. But yeah, it's just the oil company. You know which one, right? You can pick any one, right? All the trash ones, right? Shell or whatever the fuck. Yeah, and yeah, there's they go to it's a reservation with this oil rig workers, and they start to basically just have a bunch of activism, and yeah, things just get worse and worse with them having to eventually work out this oil pipeline and whatnot, and yeah, things just go very wrong very fast involving that. But that's pretty much it. It involves something involving a yacht at the ending, which is insane. But yeah, pretty good. I kind of love this movie
Yeah, I
because
I I, I kind of love it
how
too.
how kind of intense, how shockingly intense it got. Like it, it reminded me of a little bit like a blue. What's the name of that movie, boy? Okay, my brain's scattered right now. It'll come back to me. Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. How you thought it was?
Yeah, no, I like that you just bringing up shows that I never even heard of before.
Yeah.
But yeah, nah, I really enjoyed this as well. But I made sure to go in as blind as possible. The only thing
Yes.
I know
Yeah,
is
that's
that
right.
it's sort of like a environment, sort of like eco thriller kind of thing, and I haven't seen
Yeah.
one of those in a long while, right?
Yeah.
But
The movie I remember
what I
is
didn't expect,
Blue Ruin.
Blue Ruin.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard of that, but I
Yeah.
never saw it, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but what really surprised me with this is the heist style
Yep.
of the film itself, the way how it's told and how it's shot and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
It has this sort of documentary style kind of vibe to it as
Yeah.
well, like and especially with I assume it's not color graded, but it just has this sort of dusty kind of look to it.
Yeah.
Though,
Yeah.
I think it
It
fits
grimy,
because the
and
characters are in Texas,
it feels like a good evolution of the mumblecore aesthetic to it. Like I thought, oh, that
right?
would get annoying, but no, they make it feel workable and real, and like this how people just talk and blah blah blah. Novel thing.
Yeah, exactly. It feels real. Like again, very documentary like, right? I did not expect that. I didn't expect it to be this like well structured. I would say, right? The show it really remind me of more than anything else, right? Well, people will say will bring up Steven Soderbergh, right? So they'll think
Yeah. Right.
instantly something like Ocean's 11 and whatnot, right? What I was thinking actually was Quentin Tarantino and Reservoir Dogs, where
Okay. Right.
it's about the plan, and the plan not going to play out the way you expect it to, of course, right? But it's also the lead up to it. It's the process of
Yeah.
how things play out, right? What the show does so well, Dredd, is just how it transitions from present time to flashbacks, right? They will use
Right.
like these thematic cues to do so, and it does it like instantly, right? And it catches you by surprise, right? I just love how each of those moments establish who the character or who a specific character is, who is involved in this whole plan, and how it just all comes together, right? The catch me with the last flashback. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything.
Mm-hmm.
That was very well done, right? But yeah, it shows you like each flashback just kind of shows you the motivation with these characters in terms of what it is they want to do, right? And it's not just we just want to blow it up because no, they all
Right.
feel like it's about saving the environment and just saving the
Right.
land and in the particular with the oldest guy, I believe his name is uh Dwayne, not Dwayne. Yes, Dwayne. Yes, Dwayne. I believe his name is right. Yeah, Dwayne and his wife, and I like that moment where he's talking about how the presence of this oil company here, and I mean this is true, especially in the United States, right? Yeah, how it
Right.
how it affects the land, how it affects the water and all that kind of stuff, right? So you
Yeah.
could totally buy into him wanting to strike back, right? But then you have these
Yeah.
these youths, if you will, right, way younger than him, who more approach it from like a more worldly perspective, like this is
Yeah.
like capitalism and all that kind of stuff, right? And just the balls that they have to say, here's what this is what we're gonna do. We really gonna take it down, right? So that's why I love Ariella Berra's character, right? I'm not even gonna try pronouncing the name,
Right.
but she's inside the show, and she actually, I believe, produced it as well and co-wrote the script as well, right? Yeah,
Right.
just her idea of just seeing, it's a symbol, it's an example. We want to strike fear into the company itself, right? So it's just one pipeline, boom, right?
Right.
But is the repercussions that we're really studying about, right? And that leads to a
Yeah.
sacrifice, boy, that caught me completely by surprise. Though when I say, I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I would not have
Yeah.
thought of that. I did not see that coming at all, boy. Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
I just love how it leaves the show rather open ended, right? Because at the end of the day, you're just there like, all right, was it really the right thing that they did? You know what I mean? It's nothing new, but it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
great way to end it off. Like, did they really do the right thing, right? As you were saying about,
Right.
plans going wrong. Yes, I just love how it goes wrong, but not in the way that you expect to, right? Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
one
Yeah. Yeah.
involving this girl, Alicia. That moment with her without spoiling anything, I was like, oh, and how it cuts to the flashback though. I love that. That was great, right? The music is great as well. Very dark electronic music. Well, I don't really know who did the music. Gavin Briffick. I seen this reading name here now. Yeah, I love just how dark and ominous the score is. It fits the story, and it also has this sort of like ET style to it as well, too. Very neo noirish as well as far as the music goes, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, at the end of the day, the performances are strong, direction is strong though, the storytelling is just great from start to end though, and most importantly though, it's tense AF though. It really keeps you at the edge of your seat, right? In particular, there's a character. I believe his name is I forgot to mention McGill Sashaline is in this as well, right? She plays Tio. I
Right.
was like, hey, you in this too? Wow, right? Um, this guy Michael, right, who is played by Forrest Goodluck. Um, he his character really roped me in, right? So yeah, he's the technician in all of this, right? The flashback with him is great though. The moment involving him just trying to pour, powdered explosive into this container and all that kind of stuff though was gripping, right? Like the show really ensures that you feel the tension that these characters are feeling in every moment, right? Especially even before the plan even executes, right? Whether it's just preparation and all that kind of stuff, you see it play out, right? And it totally works, right? So yeah, I was hearing about how great this movie was for a hot minute now, and I'm glad I actually got the chance to see it. And yes, I'm going to echo what everybody else says. Yes, it's
Yeah.
a great movie. It is one of the best shows of 2023. Yes, I know the movie came out last year, but theatrically and I guess digitally, it came out this year. So yes, I'm going to count this as as a best movie of 2023. So yeah, rating wise, I'm going to give this a strong 4 to a very light 4.5 out of 5. Man, this is the real deal. I absolutely enjoy this though. And yes, what you said about the ending with the yacht though, yeah, that one catch me by surprise as well too, right? So it absolutely works. I think at
Yeah.
the end of the day, that's just a close things off, right? I know it's based off of a book, but I'm not sure if it's based off a real event, right? But I like how the show makes you feel how real this is, right? Yeah, to the point that you just feel
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
watching, it's like, wait, this really did happen though. Like I just wondered, and even just how execution wise the story plays out. Yeah, it feels very realistic though, at least in my opinion, right? But yeah, this totally works for me, man. I can't recommend this enough. See, Ricardo, you could share some thoughts on the film and rate it.
Yeah, I thoroughly loved this. I didn't expect this to be as good as it was. It gets into an interesting conversation about violence. No? Because one of the biggest problems with modern progressive aspects is, yeah, they try to like tame or make things a lot more nicer than it really was in history. The civil rights movement was just a bunch of good old black folks coming out of church, walking down the street. Right, and like no, that is not what happened. Like, just be realistic about it. That's more the issue. And yeah, this is you could see this generation starting to understand when push come to shove, things gonna get serious now, and they make it work. This kind of remind me a little bit of There's another movie that kind of dovetails with this First Reformed. Remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's and that's similar same ideas and conceits towards some of these premises. And like yeah, I didn't expect this to be as awesome as it was. I went into this as blind as I could. I had a general idea what it was about, but it just turned out to be really badass and well done. Yeah, this is probably gonna make my top of the year as well in my top 10.
All right. Well, what would you rate it?
Yeah, rated 9 out of 10.
Nice.
Didn't expect this to be as great as it was. Again, I went in and be like, wow, what the hell they going on with here? Well, it is well wild though, but it real good, really well done, excellent.
Right. So let's talk for a bit about Asteroid City. Yeah, this is the
Sure.
newest film from Wes Anderson. The guy who gets us film nerds to pull out a bottle of wine and just sip. While we taking in the art of Wes Anderson, right? I mean, no, I mean, I'm not even gonna repeat, what many people have said about his work over the years, right? Yeah, they're literal art pieces, right? Like just the way how his
Yeah,
shots are framed and put together, though. Like this man is like the master of framing, right? And just camera movement and blocking. Just how he does that, right? Is so impeccable. Where you're just there, like, how does he exist, right? Like and even like to this day I'm watching like stuff like this and I'm wondering something like this should not exist straight, and yet it does. It shouldn't exist in Hollywood, and yet it does, right? So yeah, I saw the trailer for this, like I believe like when it first dropped, right? And the thing that instantly catch me was the color grading, right? What I find is so interesting is that
yeah,
in the film itself, it's not the color grading is not as bright and well, I should say as warm as it was in that trailer. Like in the trailer, for some odd reason, it just looked very warm. The colors look like ridiculously warm, right? But then when you watch the film itself, it's not as warm as you might think. It looks kind of normal, right? So that was kind of weird, right? But yeah, it just had all the it just ticked all the boxes when it came to Wes Anderson, right? The usual roster of actors, the quirky humor, the weird set pieces and all that kind of stuff, right? And I was just there like, okay, I have to see this. I have to see this one way or the other. And I remember, I think only one theater in Trinidad showed it. That will be Movie Town in Port of Spain. I'm not sure if they had it elsewhere. And of course, not surprised it was only for 1 week, which was a letdown. But then I heard, after the fact that it was coming out digitally, like about a few weeks later, like less than a month. I'm just there kind of wondering, oh, it's because of box office receipts? Like maybe it didn't make that much money, I guess, you know?
yeah. This is industry. There's a lot of industry drama, so
Yeah,
there's all
but
of
but
that
I
fun.
I now wonder now
Yeah,
if Wes
yeah,
cares at all about how much money his film makes anyway. 'Cause he doesn't come off like that to me. He doesn't come off like a guy who like real concerned about if his movie breaks if his films break even or whatnot. I think he just concerned about just making the films he want to make, right? And yeah, this show is an absolute testament to that, right? So what it's about, right? So it's set in the
yeah,
50s, right? So this is the general story that we are introduced here in this story, right? In this film, right? Um, so we are introduced to the city, right? It's just this desert city, if you will, right? Called Asteroid City, right? So it's just this small community. It's basically like
right.
where enthusiasts like of space, right? Who just want to learn about who just want to like learn about outer space and all that kind of stuff could come and kind of feel at home, right? So it's like that. and it have individuals there that are constantly involved in space related stuff, right? In the 50s and whatnot, right? So everything seems okay, and we just introduced to all these various characters, right? So it pretty much kicks off with Jason Schwartzman character who plays Augie, right? Um, he's his photojournalist. He served time in the war, and we learn that his wife died, right? And he's just trying to keep his family afloat. So
Yeah.
it's his three daughters and his oldest son. I forgot who played the son, right? And he runs into an actress by the name of Midge Campbell, who is played by McGill Scarlett Johansson. She too is going through some drama, well, some breakup drama pretty much, but it just kind of results in her just acting weird. But again, in the world of Wes Anderson, that's a given. Everybody just acts weird for the sake of it, right? She has a daughter named Dinah who is just kind of just there, just trying to find something to do, pretty much, right? And she sees these various kids who all about the space stuff as well, right? So long story short now, much to our surprise, an alien shows up, a UFO shows up, right? And this particular asteroid, because we
Right.
heard it broke off, millions of years ago and stuff like that, and that's one of the reasons why people come to that city to begin with, right? But yeah, this alien shows up now, and then everybody sort of freaks
Right.
out, and then the government steps in and basically keeps the whole city in quarantine, right? And yes, the show is by itself, it is a pandemic story. When you really think about it, it's about the pandemic, but kind of not at the same time, and I'll
Right.
get into the second story. Because what we learned early on now is that what we see here, and well, the way how it's shown, right, just so as not to confuse the viewer, is that yes, the story that we see
Right.
is in color, but the real story is in black and white. Because we learn that what we see in color is actually a play.
Right.
And it makes a lot of sense now, because that would explain why the set
Definitely.
pieces
Right.
look artificial yet real at the same time. I have to give credit to the set design
Right.
for that, though. That was very well done. It has that sort of weird artificiality going on there, but it works, right? And yeah, in the real world now, well, it also, I believe, in
Yeah.
the 50s as well, yes, basically you're introduced to the guy, the playwright who wrote the story, right, who was played by Edward Norton, and then you introduce, well, I should say the writer
Yeah.
himself, right, who's played by Edward Norton, and the playwright who is played by Adrian Brody, right? And you see the actors themselves who will show up
Right.
in the actual play itself, right? But they set up something pretty interesting now, and this is where the show gets pretty existential, where the writer himself doesn't know how to end the story. And the playwright himself is just kind of going about it the way he
Right.
is. He just doing his job, right? But he himself is also going through loss, because we learn now, I was surprised to see her in this Hong Chow. Yeah, well, they separated, right? So, he just trying to get by, trying to keep busy, but like, he's just trying to keep his life afloat, right? While he is trying to keep this play running, right? We learned that there was a recent actress who was there, and she left for reasons. I didn't realize it was Margot Robbie. She makes a great appearance there. And at the end of the day, just to end the synopsis here, that's really
Right.
what it's
Yeah.
about. It's just about these characters who dealing with loss in some way, shape, or form, or at least trying to find a place in the world. And here,
Right.
this weird roadblock comes in the form, or I should say, in the play, in the form of this alien, and the threat of UFOs and all that kind of weird stuff. And in the world of the play is, all right, what's up with this
Right.
writer?
Right.
Why is he not finishing the play? What's going on? We don't know. Why are we still doing this, right? That's what the actors are thinking out loud, right? Pretty much, right? And it just sort of ends pretty much with them sort of having to find their way, even though the way is not really like in front of them, so to speak, right? And that's
Right.
the best interpretation I could give this
I
show.
I was gonna say something.
Say it.
This I have the same. I have here's the difference. Here's the thing. It this kind of a hot take, and then a kind of slightly hotter take after. This are the exact same problem I had with Beau is Afraid. Right? That's the hot take.
Uh-huh.
Here's the hotter take. Here's the hotter take. Anderson could get away with that.
Yes. yes,
Yes.
yes.
And it's a very simple reason why I didn't care for Beau is Afraid is because Ari Aster didn't have the body of work to back this up.
Exactly. He just had 2 horror films, and he just jumped
Right.
into this
Thank you.
surrealist
Yes.
existential
But
story,
Anderson have a very solid body of work, and now I totally was in tune with what he's trying to go for.
And these are teams that he have covered years, like he's been covering that
Right,
for years, yeah.
right, right. That is why this I find this work and Boys Afraid do work. They have a very similar meta commentary about things. You notice a play, yeah, they're doing things. But yeah, yeah, I kind of really love this. I
Okay,
love the hell out of
okay,
this. I'm glad you did we make the reference to the pandemic. The idea of something outside of their power
yeah.
interfering with what with the creative process and what they want to do, and I like that. 'Cause I didn't really make that comparison, but when you tell me that, it's like, oh yeah, that's a kind of workable, metaphor. I understand where you're coming from. 'Cause I didn't think about that, to be honest. But yeah, I know seeing what you're seeing, and yeah, I don't know if it'll make my best of the year, anything like that, because it is very self-indulgent. It is
Boy.
it is some of it's some of his, I'll say it's some of his worst in that sense. Like it remind me, I thought Moonrise Kingdom was one of his weaker films because of how much of a it felt like a self parody almost. This have that same problem, um, but still good. Like I still didn't hate any of this. I get where it's coming from. It have its problems of being self indulgent, but it's still fine. Like I get where the idea of it, and there's that again meta, very very Charlie Kaufman, feel of you don't even know how to finish their own story, and you put that in the story, that kind of shit. Like look, I try to go back into.
Hus, as a creative, I can't do
I
that,
can't, dude, you
I
cannot do
would
that shit
never
at
write
all,
a
man.
story and then say, hey, I don't know how to end this, I
Yeah,
can't do
he
that,
can
boy.
get away with that. He can get away with that. Again, this kind of use of meta, and you're telling a story and you're talking about the conceit of story and the conceit of writing, Ed writing. He could, again, he's one of the few people who could get away with that. So as I say, I try to go back into my bougie film wave approach to things. And so this is one of these movies I really appreciated talking about that. It's good. It's pretty damn good in that sense. And I didn't expect it to be as good as it was in that way. I really thought we was just gonna get another fantastic Mr. Fox kind of something where it's going to be a kind of cookie story or something like that. Nah, it ended up being
Hmm.
so meta. It's very meta. Right. But as I say, this is why this work and Bob is Afraid don't work, even though they do the same things, is because of time. I know who Wes Anderson is, and because I'm in tune with his approach, I'm not in tune enough. I don't know enough of your films to know and enjoy that. That's why. That's it. But yeah, this is Boaz Afraid all over again. They're just two different creators and two different mental spaces we have for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, right?
Yeah.
For me, with this film, right, and I feel the same way with his last film. That would be, oh gosh, what is by The French Dispatch. This is a show
Right.
that I really need to rewatch. Unfortunately for me, I didn't get around to rewatching The French Dispatch before year's end, and I
Okay.
probably would have made it to my best stuff, right?
Right.
Because for me, I want to put this on my best stuff way, but I feel like I need to watch this again.
Right.
I think for me the reason being is because I did not expect the side story with the play. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
I went in expecting that it was only going to be
That story,
Asteroid
yeah.
City
Yeah.
and saturated colors and people just there, with like atomic tests going on in the background for reasons and whatnot. But I did not expect the meta commentary. I did not see
Right.
that one coming a mile away, and it just had me like really thinking more about the story that we have here, right?
Yeah.
It is very indulgent, right? And this is both a curse and a blessing for a show like this, right? Because like he will just like Wes will just throw like weird shit at you. Like case in point, you have this Roadrunner, like just out of the blue, right? And the first time you see it, I like, all right, okay, they're poking fun at the Warner Brothers character because you
Right,
hear like
right,
the
yeah.
beep beep kind of thing. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
all right, all right. And side note, it's actually a puppet that they use for that. It's not CG, right? But
Yeah.
you see it a few more times, they're like, all right, why is this in this film? Is it because Wes just wanted to have a Roadrunner because we set it because the story set in the desert?
Right.
It's one of those kind of drawbacks there. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where, like, all right, you have to accept what you see, the weird shit, because it's West. But they're like, all right, at the same time, why is it here? Case in point, there's this, like, sort of a running gag involving this car chase that takes place. And it just sort of happens ever so often. And they're like, all right, why? I get it. It's supposed to add to the weirdness of the world, but why is it there? You know what I mean? But it's one of those shows, it's one of those things where you have to shut up and just accept that it is the will of it as it is, right? Also, yes, the humor is as quirky as you would expect, but I felt so many jokes or so many moments at humor was just so dry, like arid, like
Yeah.
ridiculously arid, to the point where I'm like, all right, is this funny? Like, a case in
It's
point. So
there's
with
that's part of it.
right
Cause
with
it's a lot of in joke stuff.
right.
Like it contains a lot of in film joke stuff that you is a in joke.
Yeah,
It's an inside
so
joke.
case in
Like yeah.
point, Jesus Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, the moments they have together, just they like watch it like, all right, I get the joke, she an actress and she kind of like him, but he don't really know how to talk to she, but he getting over, he wife that, so that's why the dialogue is awkward, and that's why they chatted with each other
Right.
across houses. I get it, but it's kind of not funny and funny at the
And
same
then
time.
they had a pointless nude scene with her, which was dumb.
Yeah,
I find that was
and by
dumb.
the way,
Whatever.
body double, anyone? Ha ha ha.
Yeah, no, yeah,
at
it
the
was
moment I
pointless.
saw
It
it's
was
like,
real
yeah, body
pointless.
double, duh. It don't even look like her.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, right? Haha, right. But
Right.
anyway, Tom Hanks was there. I felt they could have done more with him. Because he just came off as just the grumpy father-in-law, but I kind of get why he is that way.
Yeah.
And again, I understand the idea that everybody is going through grief or just trying to find a place, right? This is thing involving Liev Schreiber and his son. I don't even know the actor who played him, but the son just doing all this dumb shit. And there's a moment where the father literally asks him, like, yeah, why are you doing all this dumb shit for? And he's like, well, I just like this paraphrase here is just about my place in the universe. I just want that when I die, like people kind
Yeah.
of remember me. So okay, let's do that by doing dumb
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
All right, whatever, right? Um,
Yeah.
so it's like that.
I
You,
get
you
it,
get
but
it,
you
right?
know,
So it's like that. You have to kind of embrace the world and accept it because it's Wes Anderson, right? But the meta commentary that do really had me like thinking about it, even in a much grander scale now. Because yeah, at first
you're right.
at face value, you could just treat it as yeah, we just poking fun at the 50s and the space race and UFOs and how you used to have movies like what it is by gosh, what's the name of the show? By Plan 9 from Outer Space. You could tell they kind of poking fun at that too in a sense.
Yeah.
Okay, right? But the idea of, as I say, the pandemic thing, right? Having to deal with the world changing around you and you don't know what to do, but you have to kind of figure out your own path. Really hit me though. It just caught me completely by surprise,
Yeah.
right? I don't think the play stuff, the black and white stuff, totally works so, but I get where it was coming from as well. There's a moment literally where they literally do the sort of like, okay, we're gonna tell you the message, but we're gonna break the fourth wall and tell you. I'm not even gonna say what the message is, right? But that
Right.
shit caught me completely by surprise, right? Just had me thinking like,
Yeah,
all
good.
right, this is about something though. All right.
Again, only if you hate this again, if you hate this from a self-indulgent standpoint, I get that, but because it's who it is doing it. You could get
Exactly,
right.
exactly. Just to get the good now to get to the good. Yes, this is a pure unadulterated Wes Anderson experience, true and
Yeah.
true. The cinematography is great. I already mentioned the set design though. This guy and blocking, this guy and camera movement, but I
Yeah.
don't know how this guy does it. But
Yeah,
there's like
nail
a
it.
scene where literally he is introducing characters in Asteroid City, right? And it's all done like like the camera is like just moving from left to right, right? But there were a moment where he will stop on a person and then like just shift the camera back left and
Yeah.
then move back, right? And it's just how and reason why I'm bringing it up, right? The framing is still like tight though,
Yeah,
like
unlock,
still
yeah.
perfect.
Now he just locked down them
And
camera.
yeah, I don't like. I just watch this like shit, man.
Nah, he
Like
just locked down them
if
camera.
if
He
if
just locked
if
down them
if,
camera.
if, if only I had access to like a crane, like a
Yeah,
for
nah,
camera,
yeah. Yeah, he
boy.
don't play. He don't play.
Boy,
He's real locked down
I
them
would I
camera.
would be doing shit like that, shit.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
doing shots like that, boy. Wow, right? The cast itself, though, like everybody, even if it's small roles, yeah, knocked it out the park. I was surprised to see Bryan Cranston. It's like, what? You
Right,
this?
yeah.
Okay. And he was great as well. He is kind of
Yeah.
playing the Plan 9-esque kind of narrator.
Yeah.
That's our picture as, right? It also kind of like a Rod Serling character too, but I more saw him as
Right, right.
the Plan 9 guy, right? Who you was laughing at, right? There's a cameo by Jeff Goldblum. That's all I'll say. That
Right.
was different, but it works. That's all I'll say. I thought that the music was well handled as well too. Again, it's from Alexandre Desplat. Him and Wes work a lot together.
Yeah.
and it's just how everything is just put together. Though, like I just admire the craft that Wes puts into it, right? But at the end of the day, I just
Yeah.
saw it as this pandemic film slash existential film. But the message, really hit me very deep in terms of, yeah, like bad things or like unfortunate things will happen to you in life, but it's how you move past it though that matters. But it's the idea that you center it around a story that literally has no end is amazing to me.
No,
That's weird.
that's part of the meta commentary because the real world doesn't have an end. It doesn't.
Exactly.
It's not a neat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly. That's why it
yeah,
works.
and the
It
mere,
works.
and the mere
Again,
fact that a man like Wes could come and make a film that literally has
right.
no end,
Exactly.
like literally,
Yeah.
literally, the last scene in the film, like I should say the final act in the film, literally has no end. When you see it, you'll know what I talk about, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just admire that, like for you to
Yeah.
just make something like that, right? So yeah,
I can see. I can see why people may. Again, I can see why some people might not like this because again, it is very indulgent. But I get what it's going for. Like at no point I'm thinking, wait, but this is airy fairy bullshit. Nothing like
yeah,
that. Like at no point.
highfalutin stuff, yeah,
Nothing. And again, they just compared to what do you call it to Ari Aster. The difference is that because Asta again because I don't know enough about Asta for me to enjoy it, it just flows so much better. Again, you're accustomed to the music. It's like the jazz music thing, right? If you gotta know the jazz musician to enjoy that jazz music, it's the same thing. That's what it feel like, and they make it work. I can't be mad at any of this. Yeah,
yeah. I felt so too. But for me, I really feel like I need to watch it again before I could give it high praise and put it at the best of, right? But for now, strong 4 out of 5. I think that it is absolutely worth checking out though. As for seeing it in theaters, similar to French Dispatch, I probably would have walked out a little disappointed. Like I could actually watch this in my home, but
right.
but still, like I guess the main reason anybody would have want to see it on big screen is just to see the cinematography. And yes, the
Yeah,
cinematography is great, even if you watch it on like a laptop, right? Like I did, right? But yeah, in a Wes Anderson's way, it totally works, man. But in a Wes Anderson way, I really feel like I need to rewatch it, for me to like really,
right.
really get into it, right? So it's one of those shows. It wouldn't like I realized this is like a thing with me and Wes Anderson films in general. Like it just wouldn't hit me the first time because I just think it'll just be style over substance. But then when I watch it again, I'm like, all right, the substance though,
No,
like
yeah,
it's
his
about as
films.
even as the style. All right,
Yeah, no,
cool, and that's it.
his films for me has always not. I don't think any one of his films are outright don't like. Probably with the exception of maybe the Jarling Limited, maybe right.
Oh, well, I
Even
still
that I
haven't
like.
seen that actually. I haven't seen
Yeah,
that
and
as yet.
even that I like. But I'll say the one that doesn't work, and it at the time at least, and this was a little over like about 10 years ago. This is uh, Moonrise Kingdom.
Which I
That
remember really liking for some odd reason.
Yeah, I dug it. I don't know what, but I remember people complaining, and I get where they're coming from. Where it felt like a parody of himself in a sense. Like it's like wow, it going through the motions and the beats, and or you could just up and replicate. But you learn something the hard way that you can't just up and replicate any filmmaker style just so. No, it's like it's something that you could just up and do. Even though he has a very noted signature, you can't just rip it off. No. It's not pastiche. You can't pastiche just so. Like even when you try the pastiche, people don't notice and you realize how inferior your attempt is. Like J.J. Abrams, right? So yeah, it's like that. It's that same problem, and that's why he even though he continues his style and it feels almost cliched at this point, it still works because he's the only man doing it and he's the only one you're known to do it and do it well, for what it is now. So and then telling an incomplete story in this context, it totally works in that conceit. I I'm still reserved with this. I didn't super loved it, but I was like, I get it. It's working, and he's the one man can get away with it. So rating 8 out of 10. I loved it. It works in its thing, but I didn't love it as much as say Grand Budapest Hotel or something like that. It might up there.
Yeah, yeah.